Fyodor Dostoevsky, once given a death sentence and put in Siberia, turned pain into deep thought. You may think of Dostoevsky as the sad writer teens read in a moody time, but that is just part of it. In fact, Dostoevsky's life and books are full of the mind, books, and hope. He's called one of the best writers of stories that have ever been, and a maker of things that show life has no end. In this video, we will look at what made his life so special: bad things when he was a kid, fake death, exile, and more that shaped his ideas, and why you should read them when you want to grow as a person. Get better at books about the mind, life, or theories. We'll see how all the sad things that happened to Dostoevsky gave us some of the best ideas in writing. Dostoevsky grew up in Moscow in an area near a place for the poor. When he was a kid, he played with the sick and dying patients, feeling their pain and what they lacked in money. Bad childhood events. When he was only 9, Dostoevsky saw a girl being raped by a drunk man. That stayed in him. And he wrote about innocence being taken away, like in The Brothers Karamazov, Crime and Punishment. Missing family. His mom died of tuberculosis when he was 15. He was lost, saying later that, perhaps the greatest of all crimes is to rob someone of faith in life. Within 2 years, his father also died. Some say murdered by people he treated badly, but that is debated. That put him in pain and made him wonder about life. His books making him better. In the dark, Dostoevsky found peace in reading and in religion. His babysitter and grandparents read him stories from the Bible: Pushkin, Goethe, Schiller, and Scott. At first, he liked strange fiction and Russian painters like Gogol, which filled his mind. These early hard things taught him compassion and how people despair. Unlike noble writers, he did not tell about perfect lives of rich people. He wrote about the hurt and the shamed. Every bad thing he faced in life, losing loved ones, violence, and no money, gave his future character's emotion. That is rare. His pain was your mirror when reading his books, helping you see life's pain and the chance of meaning outside it. Near death. Fake death and Siberian people. Condemned for thought. In 1849, at 27 years old, Dostoevsky was held for being part of the Petrashevsky Circle, people talking about books that should not be out in the world. For holding such views against the Russian work, he was put to death. The pardon at the last second. In a famous scene he told about, in The Idiot, Dostoevsky stood blindfolded in front of a dozen guns. The count started 3, 2, 1, and a courier came with a Russian pardon. He had died inside, only to come back alive. Britannica says that this fake death made him known to more people, and he used this trauma for feelings about the spirit of life. Years in Siberia. They spared his life, but instead he spent 4 years in a hard camp in Siberia and 6 in the Russian army. He described living in a cell, full of bugs in the middle, with no floor. Winter, cold, the mind could not take. Chains everywhere. Dostoevsky went through pain that few can even imagine. Pain, changing to art. It made him better. When he was done, he wrote The House of the Dead, 1861, which told the story of prison life and was honest unlike any book before. It showed us how pain becomes art and how this art helps reveal the cruelty of life and the value of people. His pain, fake death, and Siberia is how Dostoevsky understood fear, hope, and how to get past pain. He later said this was because he had a secret hope that life still means something, even in a place like hell. When you read him, you read of someone who lived through the worst pain and still believed in life. His growth from a lost man in a cell to a man who wrote about hope shows again and again in everything he wrote after. Books that show how pain makes us better. Q. Why is Dostoevsky's writing important? His stories are a deep look into the soul and full of big ideas. People call him the best at understanding the mind of someone who lives in stories because he looked into a character's mind like no one before. Every well-known Dostoevsky book looks at big questions. Notes from Underground, 1864, often called the first book of living in the moment. You listen to a grumpy man argue with himself about being free and about the rules of government. It is like looking into what you really think, how much your pride, anger, and jealousy control you. Crime and Punishment, 1866. A classic story of doing wrong and needing to be accepted. Raskolnikov kills out of crazy ideas, then feels the weight of sin. The book shows us all the pain he went through and then his awakening. It asks, what makes us human? The pain, the ideas, or the kindness? The Idiot, 1868-69, focuses on a saintly man, Mishkin, who tries to fit into the strange world that is Moscow. It looks into the question of whether good can be real if the world is truly bad. Many see his stories as based on Dostoevsky's own presence of kindness, faith, and how we live around innocence. Demons, the Possessed, 1871-72. A story of the extreme nature of how fanaticism and nihilism can take a country and cause pain. The story is based on the people that made him go to jail, and it shows how passion can cause pain even to this day. The Brothers Karamazov, 1880, often called Dostoevsky's best work. It is about a family in pain and questions about whether people can passively act, if there is a God, what love is, why people are the way they are, and what is the measure of us. Dostoevsky used his pain, as seen in the son Dmitri struggling with his own suffering and how he deals with it through faith and guilt. Each of these stories is known for how they show the deep parts of the mind and how they look at what is relatively true and real. They are not only stories, they are philosophy made real. Britannica says in each character we can feel ideas in the depths of their souls. In essence, you get philosophy and a story in each. Q. What about the influence? Dostoevsky's work started the ideas that are called existentialism and psychoanalysis. Thinkers like Nietzsche, Camus, and Sartre thought of and were moved by him. He warned that the hope of a better world has both good and bad, and he gave importance to pain and faith long before it was done through psychology. When you read Dostoevsky, you are learning from someone who knew what went on inside someone's mind, and his stories are still felt today. What we learn, we can grow from pain. Q. How does Dostoevsky's use of pain show us how to grow? His life and his stories say a lot about us growing as people. Even in pain, the human spirit can look for hope and meaning. Although he went through the pain of suffering and losing people, he never gave up and tried to write about hope in the dark. In the last story of the Brothers Karamazov, after a killing in the story, one character reaches out to another and says, "Let us love one another." It is in this dark story's habit to show hope. This is the biggest lesson on pain and how we can grow as people. Replace pain with kindness. Pain can make us look at the hard truths about ourselves, pride, guilt, pain, and can help us go forward. Pain is pain, and pain is real. Pain was true, and pain told us to hope. Dostoevsky lived through each ounce of pain and refused to let it wipe him out. His last great work, Karamazov, shows a man who learned peace after growing through pain. Reading Dostoevsky is like learning from someone who has gone through many tragic events and is a walking twin of intelligence. His words can guide you through your pain and make you better. Read now. Like the stories of the idiot's good wishes, demon's passion, or the moral struggle of Raskolnikov, every Dostoevsky story has a part of life it asks us to consider. To share your ideas and library, start reading Dostoevsky. His insights can change what you see in the world.